The stars stretched like silver threads as the small human ship Aurora slipped out of the wormhole. For the crew, it was supposed to be another routine jump through unknown space. The mission was simple: map new regions, collect data, and see if there were any habitable worlds. The people on board expected silence and emptiness at the other side. Instead, they were met with a sight that none of them had ever imagined. Before them stood a grand display of power and scale. Hundreds of alien ships drifted in perfect formation, each one shining with strange colors and sharp designs. Some were shaped like curved blades, others like enormous floating fortresses. The humans had read about the possibility of other civilizations, but to see them gathered here was beyond belief. It was like stepping into a hidden city that had been waiting in the dark of the cosmos. For a moment, the crew fell silent. Not because they were afraid, but because the view demanded silence. Screens lit up across the control room as sensors recorded every detail. Captain Myra leaned forward, her eyes calm and steady. She was not a woman easily shaken, and today was no different. "Run a full scan," she ordered. "Keep the transmitters open. Let's see who they are." The crew obeyed, hands moving quickly over consoles. Data streamed in: energy levels, ship structures, and communication signals far more advanced than anything humans had seen before. The strange part was not the technology. The strange part was the reaction of the humans. No one panicked. No one screamed. Instead, they worked as though they had entered a new forest or ocean on Earth, a place to study and understand. Outside, the alien fleet stirred. Messages shot across their channels as they realized what had just happened. A single human vessel had appeared in the very heart of their galactic empire's trade route. This was not a border patrol zone, not a quiet frontier. This was the center of their civilization, a place where only the strongest and most respected powers were allowed to travel. For an unknown ship to arrive here was unthinkable. The nearest alien warship moved into position, its hull glowing with lines of energy. Weapons locked on the Aurora, ready to fire at a moment's command. But the humans did not raise shields or prepare missiles. Instead, the captain opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Myra of the exploration vessel Aurora," she said in clear voice. "We come in peace. We are explorers from Earth. We request dialogue." The words spread through the alien fleet. To them, it was absurd. They expected fear. They expected trembling voices begging for mercy. Instead, they received calm greetings, as if the humans believed they had every right to stand among the stars. Inside the council chambers of the nearest station, alien leaders gathered in haste. Representatives of many species spoke at once, their voices layered in tones that humans would not even recognize as speech. Some argued that the humans should be destroyed at once, before they became a problem. Others demanded study: how had such a small world discovered wormhole travel? But beneath all the noise, one thought kept returning. These humans were not afraid. Back on the Aurora, the crew shared quiet words. "Do they know we are only one ship?" asked Ryan, the navigation officer. "They know," Myra replied. "But we will not give them fear. Fear is weakness. Curiosity is strength." And so they waited. Screens displayed alien symbols and broadcasts that the translation software struggled to decode. The unknown languages sounded like a storm of voices, but the humans did not turn away. They recorded everything. They studied everything. To them, this was the greatest discovery in human history, and no amount of strange warships could take that wonder from them. Minutes turned to hours. At last, the aliens responded. A holographic figure appeared on the main screen, tall, with silver skin and eyes like burning coals. This was a commander of the Empire's fleet. His voice was cold as he spoke through the translation link. "You are not welcome here. You have entered forbidden space. You should not exist in this place." The words were heavy, meant to crush hope. But Myra only nodded politely. Then perhaps, she answered, this is a fortunate mistake. We did not come here to claim. We came here to learn. We stand ready to speak, if you allow. The commander studied her, expecting fear to rise in her tone. Yet there was none. Her voice was steady, her eyes unshaken. For the first time in many years, the Empire faced a species that did not bow at first contact. Across the alien fleet, observers noted the same thing. These humans had stepped into the heart of the Empire by accident, but they did not tremble. They did not act like prey before predators. They acted like equals. What had begun as an accident was now the opening of a story that the Empire would never forget. The Council Chamber of the Galactic Empire was a place where decisions shaped entire star systems. It was vast, filled with towering pillars of light and long tables where representatives of many species gathered. Some had scaled skin, some had wings, others had soft glowing forms that drifted like mist. They all shared one reaction when the report arrived: a mix of confusion and alarm. A human ship had appeared in the Empire's central trade route. Not at the edges, not on a forgotten border, but in the very heart where only the strongest powers dared to travel. To the Empire, this was more than strange. It was impossible. Primitive world, one alien lord said, his voice echoing across the chamber. Records show their home lies in a quiet spiral arm, still new to space. They should not be here. Another council member leaned forward, eyes shining like glass. If they reached this place, someone gave them the knowledge. We must know who guides them. Yet before the council could finish debating, another message arrived. It was from the humans themselves. Captain Myra had sent a formal greeting, along with a request for dialogue, trade information, and star maps. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. To many, it was a shock. Weaker species usually begged for mercy when standing before the Empire. Yet these humans spoke with the calm tone of equals, as if they had the right to ask for such things. They do not know where they stand, a heavy voice growled from one corner. It belonged to a reptilian general whose armor rattled as he moved. Crush them now. Show them their place. But another voice, softer yet sharp, interrupted. No. We must measure them first. Any species that shows no fear at first contact may hold strength unseen. If we destroy them now, we may lose a chance to learn. The council argued long into the hours. Some wanted war, others wanted study. A few, surprisingly, spoke of respect. In the end, a decision was made. The humans would be summoned to a trial, a meeting where they would be questioned, tested, and judged. Meanwhile, on the Aurora, the crew received the Empire's response. The alien message was filled with symbols and tones, but the translation software did its work. The Empire had agreed to speak, though the tone carried weight like stone. It was not an invitation of friendship, but a command of authority. Inside the human control room, the crew exchanged looks. Some felt unease, but not one spoke of retreat. They want to test us, Ryan said quietly. Then we will show them who we are, Myra answered. We will not go as beggars. We will go as explorers. Remember this: we came here by chance, but how we act now will decide if humanity rises or falls. The ship prepared for docking at a massive alien station. The structure was larger than any city on Earth, floating like a crown in the void. Its surface was covered with shining panels, endless windows, and glowing ports where ships of all shapes moved in and out. To the human crew, it looked like a fortress and a marketplace combined. As the Aurora settled into position, alien eyes watched them through countless screens. The Empire's citizens expected to see panic. They expected humans to hesitate before stepping into such a grand place. But when the hatch opened, Captain Myra and her officers walked out with steady steps. Their uniforms were simple, their weapons left behind, and their eyes clear. Inside the chamber, the council members studied them closely. The humans were smaller than some species, weaker in body compared to others, yet their presence was strangely strong. They did not bow, nor did they tremble. They stood upright, meeting every gaze directly. The silver-skinned commander who had first spoken to them rose from his seat. His voice rang through the hall. "You stand before the Empire. Speak, humans. Why have you come to a place beyond your reach?" Myra took a breath, her words calm and measured. "We came by accident, through a path we did not fully know. But our arrival is not an act of invasion. We are explorers. We seek knowledge, not conquest. We ask for dialogue and understanding." The council shifted in surprise. Such simple words, yet they carried no sign of fear. One of the lords slammed a clawed hand on the table. "Knowledge? You should beg for survival. Do you not see the power around you? We could destroy your vessel with a thought." Myra's eyes did not waver. "You could. Yet that will not erase who we are. Humanity has survived storms, famine, and endless struggles on our own world. If we are destroyed here, others will follow. We do not come here weak. We come here ready to learn." Her words echoed through the chamber. The council, used to submission, had no answer ready for such boldness. The humans did not shake. They did not kneel. They asked not for mercy, but for maps, trade, and the chance to stand as equals. Whispers spread among the council members. Some saw arrogance. Others saw courage. And some began to wonder if humanity, small as they seemed, might one day become something greater. The first meeting ended with no final decision. The humans were neither accepted nor destroyed. Instead, the Empire decided they would be tested. Trials of endurance, challenges of survival, and measures of strength would be placed before them. The Empire expected humans to break. The humans, however, were ready to face whatever came next. For the first time in centuries, the Empire felt a ripple of uncertainty. And it came from a species that should never have reached their stars. The alien empire wasted no time in preparing trials for the humans. To them, this was tradition. Whenever a new species appeared, they were measured. The weak were pushed down and forgotten. The strong, though rare, were allowed a seat at the edge of the empire. For the humans, the news arrived without much warning. Captain Myra gathered her crew in the meeting room of the Aurora. Around the table sat Ryan the navigator, Lian the engineer, Arun the biologist, and several others who had shared long months of travel through deep space. Their faces were calm, though the weight of the moment pressed on all of them. "They want to test us," Myra said. Her voice carried no fear, only clarity. "They believe humans are not ready to stand among them. We will show them they are wrong." The first trial was announced as a test of endurance. The humans were taken to a barren world with a harsh environment. The sky was red and filled with storms. The ground cracked beneath their boots, and rivers of dust swept across the horizon. Alien observers placed them here with only limited supplies. The task was simple: survive for 7 days. The crew set to work immediately. On Earth, humanity had survived deserts, mountains, and frozen lands long before they had ships. This world was harsh, but it was not worse than the challenges their ancestors had already faced. Ryan and Lian worked together to set up shelters using the limited material provided. Arun searched the terrain for water sources and edible plants. The storms cut across the camp, but the humans laughed at the wind. They tied down their tents, dug trenches, and shared food as if they were camping back on Earth. Alien eyes watched from above. The observers expected humans to cry out, to grow weak without technology. Instead, they adapted quickly. On the 3rd day, when a violent storm tore down part of their shelter, Myra and her crew rebuilt it stronger. By the 5th day, they had found ways to store water and cook strange roots into meals. By the 7th, they were not only alive but stronger, their spirits unbroken. The trial ended, and the humans were taken to the next challenge. This time, it was a test of mind. They were placed in a simulated maze filled with shifting walls and puzzles. Most species struggled here, for the Empire designed it to confuse and break focus. Yet humans treated it like a problem to solve. Left wall is moving, Ryan observed, drawing quick maps on his pad. Then it must connect to that opening, Myra replied, pointing forward. Step by step, they solved the puzzles together. Where other species argued or gave up, the humans cooperated, each voice adding a piece of the solution. The maze that had trapped others for days fell before the humans in hours. The council chamber stirred as reports came in. They treat the trials as training, not punishment, one alien remarked. Do they not understand the weight of these tests? They understand, another answered, but they are not afraid. The final trial was prepared. This one was not survival or puzzles. It was combat. The humans would face a group of mechanical beasts, fast and deadly, designed to test reflexes and courage. Weapons were provided, though limited in power. Most species, when faced with these machines, froze in fear or fought poorly. When the gates opened and the metal beasts charged forward, the human crew did not hesitate. Myra gave sharp commands, and each member moved with precision. Ryan drew fire to the left, Leanne set traps using the environment, and Arun struck weak points the moment they appeared. The battle was fierce, with sparks and dust flying, but the humans fought with the same determination their ancestors once used against predators on Earth. When the last machine fell, the humans stood together, breathing hard but unbroken. The trial masters recorded everything, stunned by the speed and teamwork displayed. Afterward, Myra addressed her crew quietly. We did not come here to fight, she said. But if they test us, we show them who we are. Humanity does not bow. Humanity endures. News of the trials spread quickly across the Empire. Merchants whispered about the humans who survived storms. Soldiers spoke of the humans who outmaneuvered machines. Scholars studied the puzzle results and found themselves impressed by the teamwork. In the council chamber, voices grew louder. They should not be dismissed, said one representative. They are small in number, but their spirit is great. Spirit does not win empires, another replied coldly. Perhaps, a third added, but spirit wins respect. And respect is something we have not seen in many new species. The humans had not defeated the Empire, nor had they demanded anything. But they had passed every trial with calm determination. The Empire had tried to measure them, and instead discovered something unexpected. These humans were not trembling visitors. They were explorers who carried the strength of survival deep within their nature. The trials were over, but the true test was just beginning. The Empire now had to decide what to do with a species that refused to break. The Empire did not expect humans to last this long. They had survived the trials, solved puzzles, and fought machines with courage. Yet many council members still believed humans were only a curiosity. To them, humans were clever but too small to matter in the grand scheme of the galaxy. That belief was tested sooner than anyone expected. At the edge of the Empire, a border colony was attacked. The attackers were a faction known for their raids swift, merciless, and armed with ships built only for destruction. They struck without warning, setting fire to outposts and scattering civilians. The Empire responded with warships, but the attack was larger than predicted. For the first time in decades, one of the Empire's colonies stood at risk of falling. News reached the station where the humans were still being studied. Alien officers hurried through the halls, preparing reinforcements. Captain Myra listened carefully as reports echoed across the chamber walls. Her crew stood behind her, silent, watching the fear on alien faces. They are losing ground, Ryan said quietly. Yes, Myra answered. And they are not used to losing. The council debated quickly. Some wanted to send overwhelming force, but that would take time. Others argued for retreat, to protect the Empire's fleet for another day. In the middle of the noise, Myra spoke. "Send us," she said firmly. The council chamber turned silent. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward the human captain. "You," one lord scoffed. "You are only one vessel. What can your ship do against raiders who outnumber entire fleets?" Myra did not flinch. "We are not asking to fight alone. But let us stand with your forces. Let us prove what humanity can do in battle." Some laughed, others frowned. But the Empire's commander, the silver-skinned figure who had first spoken with Myra, leaned forward. His sharp eyes studied her for a long moment before he nodded. "Very well," he said. "If you wish to face fire, you will. But know this: if you fall, it will be by your own choice." The Aurora was armed lightly compared to the massive ships of the Empire. It had a few rail cannons, missile pods, and defensive shields, nothing more. But what it lacked in strength, it carried in human will. The crew prepared quickly, each person moving with determination. As the Aurora joined the Empire's fleet at the border, the scene was grim. Smoke and fire rose from the colony below. Alien civilians rushed for shelter as raider ships strafed the ground. Empire warships were locked in heavy combat above, but the raiders were fierce, striking fast and vanishing into clouds of debris. Myra studied the battle carefully. "They are faster than us," she said. "But speed can be turned into a weakness. Ryan, plot their movement patterns. Leanne, prepare the rail cannons for precision fire. We are going to cut their wings." The Aurora dove into the fight. Alien captains watched in surprise as the small human ship weaved through the chaos with bold maneuvers. While larger vessels struggled to match the raiders' speed, the Aurora used agility and clever timing. Each time a raider darted forward, the humans struck at weak points with accurate fire. "Direct hit," Ryan shouted as one raider ship exploded into fragments. "Another down," Leanne added, sweat on her brow as she adjusted power between shields and weapons. The Empire's commanders began to notice. Reports came across the channel: "The human vessel is drawing them off. The raiders are shifting focus." It was true. The Aurora, though small, fought like a spark in dry grass, drawing enemy attention and breaking their formations. The raiders who thought they could crush one fragile ship found themselves caught in traps set by human strategy. At one point, 3 raiders cornered the Aurora. Their weapons charged, ready to strike. But instead of retreating, Myra ordered a bold move. "Dive into the atmosphere," she commanded. The Aurora plunged toward the burning skies of the colony below. The raiders followed, certain they would finish the humans. But inside the atmosphere, turbulence shook the ships violently. The humans, used to flying through storms on Earth, handled it with skill. The raiders, built for space, struggled to keep control. One by one, they lost formation, and the Aurora turned the chaos into victory, blasting them apart with precise fire. When the battle finally ended, the colony still stood. Fires burned, but the raiders were defeated. The humans had played a role far greater than expected, their courage tipping the balance. Back on the station, the council listened to the battle report in stunned silence. The silver-skinned commander finally spoke. "One ship," he said slowly. "One small ship stood where others faltered." The council could no longer deny it. Humans were not simply curious newcomers. They were fighters who carried iron in their hearts and fire in their spirit. As the Aurora returned to port, Myra addressed her crew. "Today we showed them," she said softly. "Not that we are stronger, not that we are greater. We showed them that humanity does not turn away when the sky is burning. We stand and we fight." The words spread far beyond her ship. Across the Empire, whispers grew louder. The humans were no longer seen as weak explorers. They were seen as something dangerous, something inspiring. a people who refused to tremble in the face of overwhelming power. And the empire, though vast and mighty, now felt the first stirrings of change. The humans had survived trials, storms, and battle. Yet the empire was still unsure how to place them. Some council members called them reckless, others dangerous, but most simply did not understand them. To the humans, it was not about danger. It was about standing firm and doing what was right. The council convened again. This time, humans were invited to sit in a hall reserved for observation. Rows of alien lords, generals, and scholars watched the humans closely. The air was thick with expectation. Many species believed that seeing humans in person would reveal fear, hesitation, or weakness. They were wrong. Captain Myra entered the hall with her crew. Each human stepped forward with calm composure. They did not bow. They did not lower their gaze. To some alien representatives, it was shocking. To others, it was confusing. But to all, it was impossible to ignore. The first few minutes were quiet. The council spoke among themselves, discussing what the humans might say. Then one of the empire's leaders, a tall figure with silver-scaled skin and piercing eyes, addressed the humans. "You are small in number, inexperienced, and new to this galaxy," he said. "You have survived trials, yet you are far from understanding the Empire's ways. Why should we consider you equals?" Myra rose to speak. Her voice was calm, firm, and confident. "We do not claim to be equal in power or knowledge," she said. "We are new to this galaxy, yes. But we are not weak. Humanity has faced storms, famine, and endless struggles on our own planet. We have survived earthquakes, floods, and harsh winters. We have built, explored, and endured. We have risen not because we are the strongest in body, but because we are determined in spirit." The chamber was silent. Many lords were unused to being spoken to in such a way. Some shifted in their seats. Some whispered to each other. They had expected submission, not pride expressed with clarity and respect. "Spirit alone does not grant you safety or power," said another alien, a creature with multiple limbs and eyes. "You may survive, but your kind cannot shape the galaxy." Myra nodded slightly, acknowledging the comment without fear. "Perhaps we cannot shape it yet. But do not mistake caution for strength, nor underestimate the will of a species that refuses to tremble before danger. We do not seek to conquer. We do not seek to harm. We seek understanding, communication, and mutual respect. If you ignore us, you may find us still standing, not defeated, and not afraid." A murmur ran through the council. Some lords were irritated. Others were impressed. The humans had spoken not with anger, not with challenge, but with clear truth. One representative, an elder with a glowing translucent form, leaned forward. "Your courage is unlike anything we have seen. Most species would bow or flee. Yet you speak as though you have every right to be here. What is it that drives such fearlessness?" Arun, the biologist, spoke next. His voice was softer, but steady. "We are driven by curiosity and necessity. Humans survive because we face challenges, not because we hide from them. Our strength comes from learning, adapting, and standing together. That is how we endure, even against greater odds." The silver-skinned commander nodded slowly. "It is unusual. A species so small, yet so fearless." Myra smiled faintly. "We do not seek to frighten you. But neither do we seek to be intimidated. You may have fleets and power. We have experience surviving our world, and that experience shapes our courage. A species that has endured harsh winters, famines, and great challenges does not bow easily." The room was quiet for a long moment. Alien scribes wrote furiously, documenting every word. Generals whispered to one another. Scholars debated quietly. The humans had said nothing threatening, yet the impact was undeniable. Finally, the commander spoke again. You have made your position clear. You do not tremble before the Empire. That is noteworthy. The Council will consider your words. But know this, your actions, not your speech, will decide your place here. Myra inclined her head in acknowledgement. We understand. And our actions will speak as clearly as our words. As the humans left the chamber, alien voices followed them in quiet awe. For centuries, the Empire had encountered new species that either cowered or attacked. Rarely had a species stood calmly, confidently, and truthfully before their leaders. Humans were not only unusual, they were unforgettable. Outside the hall, Myra gathered her crew. Remember this, she said. They will measure us not by what we say, but by what we do. We will continue to act with courage, with wisdom, and with unity. That is how humanity is known. Her crew nodded, understanding that every small action, every decision, and every step in the galaxy would shape how the Empire saw them. The humans were still newcomers, but their fearless voice had already left a mark. Across the stars, whispers began to spread about these strange beings who faced power without fear, and who refused to tremble even before a vast empire. The Empire was learning a truth it had never expected: humanity was not to be feared or ignored. Humanity demanded respect, earned through courage, determination, and an unshakable spirit. And the galaxy would never be the same. News of the humans spread quickly across the Empire. Traders whispered about the small ship that had survived trials and battle. Soldiers talked of a species that refused to flee when faced with danger. Scholars studied the humans' methods, wondering how a single world could produce such clever, daring individuals. The council debated once again. Many members were still unsure what to do. Some saw the humans as reckless intruders who could be controlled or eliminated. Others began to worry. If humans continued to act without fear, their reputation could inspire rebellion or challenge the established order. Meanwhile, Captain Myra and her crew worked quietly. They traveled between stations, shared knowledge about navigation, and helped rebuild parts of colonies damaged in previous conflicts. Wherever humans went, they left a mark of calm courage. Citizens began to watch them closely. Children stared at the humans' ships in wonder. Traders hoped to learn from them. Even soldiers who had fought humans in simulations found themselves impressed. One day, the humans were invited to a new council session. This time, the atmosphere was different. Eyes followed them with curiosity rather than suspicion. Some representatives bowed slightly. Others leaned forward, eager to hear their words. The humans had begun to change how the Empire saw them. A merchant lord, a being with wings of soft gold, spoke first. We have heard of your deeds, humans. You survive storms and machines, and you fight when others hesitate. Why do you do this? What drives you? Myra stepped forward calmly. We do not seek fame or glory. Humanity survives because we face challenges. We explore because we are curious. We act because we believe in helping when we can. That is our way, and it does not change in space. The room was silent. Aliens listened, not because they feared humans, but because they began to respect them. Some whispered to one another. They do not boast, one said. They do not demand. And yet they are not afraid. A young officer from the Empire's fleet, new to the council, spoke hesitantly. If humans are so bold, what will happen when they grow in number? What if they develop fleets and technology that match ours? Myra looked at him gently. Perhaps that will happen. Perhaps not. But even then, respect should come from understanding, not fear. Every species grows. Every species learns. Humanity grows through challenge, not by threatening others. The council listened closely. The words were simple, yet powerful. Humans were not asking for control. They were asking for understanding, yet their very presence demanded acknowledgement. Over the next weeks, humans continued their travels. They helped traders navigate dangerous regions. They shared methods to stabilize planetary colonies. In every corner of the empire, humans left examples of courage, skill, and calm decision-making. Soldiers who once doubted them began to study their tactics. Merchants who once ignored them sought advice. Ordinary citizens whispered stories of the humans who did not tremble in the face of power. Even among the empire's leaders, opinions began to shift. Some who had wanted to destroy the humans now argued for cooperation. Others, still wary, admitted that humans had earned respect through deeds rather than words. One evening, Myra stood on the deck of the Aurora, looking out at the stars. Ryan joined her. "Do you think they will ever accept us fully?" he asked. Myra shook her head slowly. "Perhaps not fully. But acceptance is not the goal. Understanding is. Every person, every species, is learning what humanity is. We will not force them to like us. We will simply show them who we are. That is enough." The Empire's whispers grew louder. Humans were no longer seen as small newcomers. They were a force of influence, not because of fleets or weapons, but because of courage, intelligence, and determination. Stories spread about how humans survived impossible trials, outmaneuvered enemies, and spoke truth to power. Even old, hardened council members could not deny the effect. "They are changing us," one muttered to a colleague. "We thought we measured them, but in truth, they measure us. They show us a way to act without fear, without arrogance, without hiding. That is dangerous in its own way." Myra gathered her crew one last time before returning to the central stations. "Remember this," she said. "We are not here to dominate. We are here to be ourselves. Every act of courage, every choice to do what is right, shifts how the galaxy sees humanity. The Empire may be vast, but even vast empires change when they meet a species that refuses to tremble." Her crew nodded, understanding that their actions were shaping history. The humans had started as accidental visitors, yet they were becoming a symbol of determination, strength, and courage. Across the Empire, from traders to soldiers to scholars, opinions continued to shift. Some still doubted, some still feared, but many began to admire. Humans had carved a place for themselves not through domination, not through force, but through fearless action, calm determination, and the refusal to be intimidated. And in that shift, the first signs of a new era appeared. A galaxy that had once dismissed humanity now watched, curious, uncertain, and slowly learning to respect them. The turning tide had begun.